to do very well. If you look in Canuck's base, he's building up some more fiends. That's a pretty good choice, really. If you are using some kind of if you're using some kind of crypt-based strategy, like say you have 2 crypts or something like that, and you've gotten into the late game and that panda has hit level 5, as nice as anti-magic shell is, once you've got level 5 panda, that is just such an obscene amount of area effect damage, and you're really not going to be able to keep your ghouls alive. Also, in this particular case, Ryder has continued to mass up dryads, and while fiends are not that fantastic against dryads, they're better than ghouls because at least they live like a little bit longer. Plus, they have piercing damage, which will kill dryads off pretty damn quickly. Let's see. This one's actually going to go pretty bad for Canuck. Watch what happens here. He gets the town portal out in time, but doesn't quite get the kill on the mine, and his Lich died. Even though he got the town portal out, the Lich had haze fire on it, and it basically just kind of withered and died even after he town portaled out. Sad, but hey, it happens sometimes. Anyway, yeah, Canuck unsummoned his Temples of the Damned because he's got a pretty high-level panda that he's facing down, and he thought it better to switch to fiends, which is pretty reasonable. I've been in this kind of situation in a late game where I was doing pretty well with like ghouls, and then after the panda gets to like level 5, they really do stop working, no matter how well you try to protect them with things like anti-magic shell or scrolls of healing. Let's talk a little bit about what Ryder's options would have been in this game. He could have switched to bears at some point, being as he was going for dual lores. However, that would be risky because he was dealing with an opponent that was using possession, or was using banshees, and so he could have gotten possession. You can kind of micro your way out of getting too many of your bears possessed by like kind of keeping them in the back of your army and like trying to pick off his banshees with any dryads you have, but it's still actually pretty damn risky, because they can kind of play the same game with you. They can start like picking off your dryads with whatever units that they have and backing the banshees off a bit. There's a little bit of chat between the guys here, saying that they're not so sure this is a good strat. One thing to keep in mind: this isn't a tournament game. This is actually like Ryder and Canuck playing like a custom game, practicing together. Occasionally, you will see games like this from pros, and they will try a lot stranger strategies. Even though this strat has worked pretty decently so far for Canuck, I would say it's probably not quite tournament capable. For one reason, I really am of the opinion that Ryder would have done a bit better, possibly, if he'd switched to Ancients of Lore, or Ancients of Wind, excuse me. Putting Fairy Fire on the ghouls probably would have caused them to go down a lot quicker. Okay, let me give a quick explanation of how anti-magic shell works for anybody who's a little confused about it, because it is weird. It doesn't grant magic immunity of any kind. What it does is it soaks 300 magic or spell damage, and then it basically disappears. So it doesn't prevent you from being fairy fired. It cannot be dispelled, so that's why he's not, that's why Ryder didn't just dispel the anti-magic shell with his dryads. Anyway, let me quit babbling and look at this exciting battle in progress. As much as I said fiends are a little bit better against the panda, fiends actually still do get owned pretty badly by haze fire. Canuck is kind of using his heal scrolls to keep him alive, and he's trying to like nuke down the panda a little bit with Carrion Swarm, but that panda is incredibly fat, and it's looking like Canuck is pretty screwed. Like they were saying, maybe the strategy isn't quite tournament ready. Maybe going Garg straight would be a little bit better, but then wait, is that a level 6 Dreadlord? Is that an Infernal? Never mind. See, one of the nice things about the Dreadlord is that the guy is a freaking monster when he gets to level 6. And I think it's pretty fun if you actually keep an eye on this while it's in progress. Like, watch the animation on that Infernal. He's got level 3 Unholy Aura on him, and that Infernal just hauls ass. And it's just really, I don't know, I like watching him charge up to something and just punch it in the nuts. Like, boom, watch. You know, slapping that Beastmaster on the ass. You'll see him doing the same thing with Dryads, just walking around punching Dryads. I mean, if I was going to have, like, one job in Warcraft 3, I think it would be to be an Infernal running around punching Dryads. Because that just seems like a hell of a lot of fun to me. I'm weird. Yeah, this game's pretty much over at this point. That Infernal really sways things a lot. It's something that you shouldn't ever neglect when you're thinking about hero choices is, you know, what happens in the late game. Really, the Death Knight, like, his ultimate isn't really that superb. In fact, Canuck skipped it in favor of getting level 3 Unholy Aura. The Lich, you know, a lot of the time it just seems like it's too easy for your opponent to stop you from using Death and Decay. But, I mean, an Infernal, God, that is just a fantastic freaking ultimate. You really can't beat it. A note about Goblin Sappers, for one thing, you have to make sure they don't blow each other up. So you really want to send them in kind of one at a time, because if you take a group of them and you kaboom them all to the same building at once, one of them will explode first and will actually kill the other, because the suckers only have about 100 hit points. In fact, if you were watching closely, the panda used his fire ability and just like wiped one of them out before it even got there. And I forget the cost of them. I think they're around like 250 gold and 50 odd lumber. So I mean they're pretty expensive units. You need to be careful with them. They really are something that you only want to get when you're kind of desperate for siege, and you know, like, you want to force your opponent to TP, or like the only thing that's stopping you from just utterly annihilating them is a few towers that you can't take down with the army that you happen to have. Anyway, I was kind of starting to say I wouldn't say this is necessarily a tournament caliber strategy. I'm not sure if it would do quite as well if the Night Elf switched and started adding in some Ancients of Wind. I think Chimeras could... Actually, no, I take that back. Chimeras wouldn't give you too much trouble because Anti-Magic Shell would actually block their damage. However, I do think Druids of the Talon would be a problem because the Fairy Fire would kind of help him focus down your ghouls. But at the same time, the Druids of the Talon could end up getting killed by like the Lich and the Dreadlord's area of effects spells. But ultimately there's also the risk that the Night Elf is going to get a lot of expansions up, and you're not going to be able to get your Dreadlord to level 6. So really overall I'd say having the Gargs at tier 2 to keep the Night Elf under control, and then going for like Slaughterhouse units later in the game is the safer thing to do. Ryder's saying he doesn't think the Dreadlord was that good. I think the Dreadlord actually performed pretty admirably in this game. Once again, it gives him the ability to cancel expansions a lot better because you can carry and swarm any repairing wisps, so it allows you to like focus down the expansion really quick with your ghouls and then town portal out of there. Letting you sort of control the Night Elf economy, which gets a little bit out of control because of the fact that you didn't go gargoyles and you don't have their harassment to help you out. One thing I've learned recently, it didn't really show up in this game, but Undead actually do have a few chances where expanding is a good idea against Night Elf. Usually it's not, and I usually discourage people from doing it. But, like, for example, if you kill off all of your opponent's archers but, like, lose most of your ghouls in the early game, you can often get away with expanding. Just bring a Skull of Blight and get some towers going. And that way, you know, he'll only have, like, a couple dryads in his heroes. He won't really be able to kill it for a while. Canuck showed me that. Helped me out a lot, I have to say.